Hello and welcome to Pots and Trowels, and this week we're out on the road again in Leicestershire, where we find ourselves at the magnificent Beaver Castle. We've come to look at the gardens and search for snowdrops. The gardens at Beaver surround the castle, which is perched on the top of the hill, and it's got panoramic views over Leicestershire, Lincolnshire and Nottinghamshire. The castle behind us was built in the 1800s, but the first one was built by the Normans and named Belvoir, meaning beautiful view, because it's perched on the top of the hill. It gets the name Beaver because legend has it that the local Anglo-Saxons that lived in the villages surrounding it couldn't pronounce Belvoir, and they called it Beaver, and that name stuck ever since. I'm a great believer that gardens should be enjoyed all year round, and I think the rose garden here at Beaver goes to show that. Yes, the roses are totally dormant, there's not a flower in sight, and there won't be for many months, but there's lots of other plants here that give interest. We've got the lovely yew hedging at the back there that's been shaped into these wonderful shapes and nooks and crannies. We've got the Portuguese laurel balls, box hedging, and even the grey of the lavender there around the edge of the rose beds. Plus, of course, we've got sculptures, water features and lots of stonework, which all make this a really interesting place to be, even in the middle of winter on a cold, snowy day. Just proves that you can enjoy your garden all year round. This time of the year the gardens at Beaver are closed and they don't open again till March, when all the spring flowers start to open. But we've been invited here as a special day today as part of the Garden Media Guild, who have come to look around the gardens and the woodland. And that's where we are now, in the Woodland Garden, which is just down from the castle. Very informal, lots of evergreens, and the bit where we are now is the Camellia Glade. And although it's only February, one or two are just starting to flower, some of the early cultivars, but the bulk of them will be later on in March and April. And when you come at that time of the year, when the gardens are open, this is an absolute blaze of colour down here. Well, I did say at the beginning we're also going to look for snowdrops, and lo and behold, in the woods here there are drifts of snowdrops all over the place, and I found a drift here, and look who's kneeling at the side of it, none other than Jonathan Mosley. Hi Jonathan.
Hi Martin.
So a little bird tells me that you like snowdrops. They're one of your favourite flowers.
Adore them, I can't resist them. That's why I'm nestled in amongst this clump, and as you can see I've already started picking. They're just such an adorable little flower, Martin. So delicate, so graceful, but so intricate when you look inside that central area of a snowdrop. It's like a frilly skirt.
And in this clump here, because I thought they were all just the commoner garden single snowdrop, the Galanthus nivalis, but that one's a double there, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got a little
Floripleno
here. There's quite a lot of crosses as well, Martin, I've noticed here, where you've got sort of some semi-doubles as well, some with unfilled petals, some flipped or open, all slightly different, fascinating little things.
It's lovely to see them growing naturally, and another place you see a lot of them, of course, is in churchyards.
Yes.
And because the Victorians thought because they were in churchyards it was bad luck to pick them and bring them in the house, but that's not always been the case, has it?
No, definitely not. Same as snowdrops, lots of our flowers are associated from when the Victorians had a message for every flower, some positive, some negatives. They are, as you say, the indicative of churchyards, those big carpets of snowdrops, but certainly during Edwardian times they became a firm favourite of springtime, and little bunches of snowdrops were sold wrapped with ivy leaves, and country folk would go around the woodlands picking the snowdrops, putting big borders of broadleaf red-leafed ivy, sending them up on the flower trains to Covent Garden to be sold in London. So they were an early crop for people, and sadly we've lost that now, but for many of us, of course, we grow snowdrops to pick in our gardens.
Yeah, exactly. And do you use them in your arrangements? Because, you know, they are, as you said, dainty little flowers, but you can still use them in arrangements?
Definitely. They're quite long-lasting, Martin, actually. Picking them when they're first starting to open, you'll get about 10 days from a snowdrop, because we all know in the gardens, they'll go on for a month, sometimes 6 weeks, particularly if we get those periods of cold weather, but last really well in water, not good in floral foam or anything like that. One of my favourite containers for displaying them are egg cups.
Yeah.
And just get a little selection of different egg cups, little chintzy egg cups, pop in some snowdrops, you've got an instant display. Or another nice contemporary way is to get an old piece of wood or bark, pop in there some glass test tubes which you can buy quite easily from Florist supplies, and just drop little groups of snowdrops in there. They look so beautiful, so lovely.
It's quite cold here today, isn't it? We've got snow on the ground and a cold wind. There's no scent, but once you get them in the house and they warm up, there is a bit of I always think it's like a honey scent.
Yeah, it's quite a sweet, quite a succulent scent, isn't it? And for scented flowers, you know, pick some snowdrops. If you're lucky enough to have winter flowering honeysuckle in your garden, mix it with those. I've just got a little posy on the dining room table at home at the minute, and I've got cornus mass in there, which looks lovely with snowdrops. So they're a great flower to put in as an accompaniment to other spring shrubs.
Yeah. Great to bump into you. I didn't expect you to be here today, pinching snowdrops.
Well,
and
where else would I be?
Where can we see you next?
Next, well, we've got many of our shows starting to come up, and first big one really is Harrogate Spring Flower Show, which for any flower lovers, you'll know that is the mecca for all things floristry and flower arranging. And this year at Harrogate, I'm creating a huge big installation there in Hall 2, which is all about the Roaring Twenties. So if you want a bit of a flower fix, then come and catch me at Harrogate. And I know you're going to be there too.
I'll be there as well, answering questions and talking gardening. So
I look forward to it.
Great to see you there.
Thanks, Martin. I love that green stripe through there.
So it is very different.
It's like a pistachio green. So
I bet you if you lifted some of these and took them to one of these specialists,
they've never seen them before.
Yeah. It's a bit cheeky digging them up though, isn't it, really? Well, we hope you enjoyed our private viewing here of the gardens at Beaver Castle. We've had a really good look around the formal areas and the woodlands where we found some snowdrops, and the promise of lots of things to come later on in the spring. If you like it, please tell all your friends, get them to share it on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll be back next week with some practical things to do in your garden.